Some people carry time differently. They walk lightly in youth yet move as though carrying decades of thought, reflection, and quiet understanding. Their ladder is gentle, their gaze deliberate, and their presence seems to span beyond the present moment. An old soul is not defined by age, but by depth, a consciousness attuned to subtlety, impermanence, and the currents of human emotion. They notice what others overlook, the fleeting, the tender, the quietly profound. Life is experienced with reflection, empathy, and awareness, often tempered by a sense of patience or melancholy. This story explores the psychology of the old soul, the internal architecture of thought and feeling, the reflective tendencies, the relational wisdom, and the emotional depth that make them feel, think, and perceive differently from their peers. An old soul moves differently through life. They inhabit the present yet carry echoes of the past, and sometimes whispers of the future. Their gaze lingers where others glance, their attention rests where many pass without notice. Time is not simply measured in hours or years, it is felt, observed, and reflected upon with a quiet intensity. Even in youth, they seem older than their age. There is a stillness in their movement, a deliberation in their speech, a patience in their observation. They listen, not only to words but to silences they see, not only appearances but the currents beneath. Life is experienced with layered perception, each moment refracted through reflection and empathy. The world can feel both vivid and fragile to them. They notice impermanence, the fleeting expression of a smile, the subtle change in a friend's demeanor, the quiet passage of seasons. These observations are not merely aesthetic. They are integrated into thought and emotion, shaping understanding, choices, and presence. An old soul often senses depth and simplicity. A shared glance, a handwritten note, a moment of silence carries more weight than a noisy gathering. They are attuned to subtle rhythms, quiet truths, and emotional undercurrents that others overlook or dismiss. This attentiveness can be a gift, revealing richness where others see only ordinary life. Yet presence is not always easy. To feel deeply in a world that often values speed, distraction, and superficiality is dissonant. They move at a different tempo, attuned to reflection rather than impulse, depth rather than spectacle. This difference creates perspective, but also distance from peers, from culture, and sometimes from themselves. The old soul is often reflective in thought and expression. They ask questions others never think to ask, seek meaning beyond the obvious, and explore the subtleties of emotion, morality, and existence. Experience is layered, memory, imagination, and observation converge to form a consciousness both expansive and introspective. Curiosity guides them, tempered by caution. They watch patterns, note behavior, and consider consequences before action. Impulsivity feels jarring, abrupt, or even wasteful. They live as though life is a vast, intricate tapestry, and each thread, every word, feeling, or gesture carries significance. Their presence can be magnetic, though understated. Others may sense wisdom, compassion, or insight, sometimes without understanding its source. The old soul does not demand attention, they hold it quietly, simply by existing with intention and awareness. Timelessness is woven into the rhythm of their mind. They understand that life is both fleeting and enduring, that moments contain layers beyond immediate perception. To meet an old soul is to sense depth beyond age, to witness reflection as instinct, and to encounter patience as a lived experience. In this presence, one begins to understand that time is not only chronological, it is emotional, cognitive, and perceptual. An old soul navigates the world with reverence for both its weight and its fleeting beauty, carrying insight that often feels beyond the ordinary span of human experience. Depth does not emerge in isolation. It is cultivated over time, shaped by experience, observation, and temperament. Some are born with a contemplative nature, a sensitivity to emotion, a quiet attentiveness to the world that marks them from early childhood. Others acquire depth through circumstance, through witnessing the fragility or complexity of life before they are ready to understand it. Family dynamics play a subtle yet profound role. Children who grow up in households where emotion, thoughtfulness, or reflection is valued often internalize those rhythms. Conversations that linger beyond surface matters, moments of attentive listening, or careful storytelling nurture an appreciation for nuance. Conversely, households marked by turbulence, loss, or absence may teach the child that attention, understanding, and emotional literacy are rare treasures to be cultivated within themselves. Early experiences of observation shape the old soul. They notice subtleties that escape others, the tension behind a smile, the silence between words, the unspoken dynamics of relationships. Even in play, they are aware of feeling, consequence, and the invisible threads connecting people and events. Their mind catalogs experience with care, learning patterns and meaning beyond the immediate and obvious. Temperament interacts with environment. Introversion, sensitivity, and reflective disposition make certain children more prone to internal observation and contemplation. They may prefer quiet corners, solitary exploration, or imaginative play over boisterous activity. Yet these tendencies are not isolation, they are preparation, training in noticing, understanding, and perceiving life with heightened acuity. Challenges and adversity deepen depth. Early exposure to suffering, loss, or human complexity cultivates empathy and contemplation. The old soul observes not only what is pleasant but also what is fragile, unjust, or fleeting. The experience of witnessing struggle fosters resilience, moral awareness, and the capacity to feel without judgment. Education, reading, and early engagement with ideas shape perspective. A child introduced to stories, history, philosophy, or art absorbs frameworks of meaning that expand consciousness. They learn that life is layered, morality complex, and emotion nuanced. This early scaffolding reinforces their reflective tendencies, allowing thought and feeling to intertwine with observation and insight. Cultural context also leaves its mark. Some societies prize wisdom, patience, or respect for age and experience. Others prize speed, spectacle, or immediate gratification. The old soul navigates this tension, internalizing values selectively, often feeling both connected and slightly apart from their peers. By adulthood, these roots converge into a distinctive inner architecture. Observation, empathy, and reflection are not accidental. They are cultivated traits, reinforced by temperament, experience, and careful attention. The old soul's mind is a tapestry of early lessons, innate sensitivity, and the careful cultivation of understanding that allows life to be observed with depth rather than rushed past. The roots of depth are a quiet education in living. They teach patience, perspective, and a recognition that not all understanding comes quickly, nor all insight from noise. An old soul is formed in the interplay of nature, nurture, and experience, a being attuned to the subtleties, contradictions, and ephemeral beauty of human existence. The mind of an old soul moves slowly, deliberately, as if tracing the hidden patterns beneath each moment. Thought is not superficial or fleeting, it is layered, measured, and reflective. They notice connections others overlook, weigh possibilities, and anticipate outcomes not merely through logic, but through empathy and awareness. Their cognitive rhythm is contemplative, like a river tracing the contours of a landscape, finding depth where others skim the surface. Reflection is habitual. Every event, encounter, or observation is filtered through an internal lens, examined for meaning, resonance, and consequence. They ponder human behavior, subtle emotion, and the interplay of circumstance and choice. Even trivial experiences may become objects of contemplation, each carrying insight, curiosity, or revelation. Old souls often anticipate patterns of life and human nature. They recognize the cycles of emotion, conflict, and reconciliation, predicting responses and outcomes with uncanny clarity. This foresight is not about control but about understanding, learning to navigate complexity with both patience and attentiveness. Attention to nuance is central. They perceive shifts in tone, micro-expressions, and subtle behavior. A slight gesture or pause may reveal more than pages of explanation. The old soul integrates these observations into their understanding of others, forming a cognitive map that guides thought, empathy, and interaction. Metacognition, the ability to observe their own thinking, is deeply ingrained. They question assumptions, weigh motives, and reflect on biases, both in themselves and in others. Thought as iterative, patterns are noted, conclusions revisited, and perspectives recalibrated. This cognitive flexibility is paired with emotional insight, creating depth that is both analytical and intuitive. Memory plays a pivotal role in reflection. Experiences, relationships, and emotional impressions are cataloged with care. The past informs perception of the present, shaping judgment, compassion, and understanding. They carry history lightly yet consciously, using it as a compass for thought rather than a burden. Imagination is intertwined with cognition. Old souls envision possibilities, explore hypothetical outcomes, and mentally simulate social and emotional dynamics. This capacity allows them to consider consequences and empathize deeply, connecting intellect with emotion seamlessly. Yet reflection can be double-edged. Overthinking, self-critique, or rumination may arise when perception and awareness become excessive. The old soul may wrestle with existential questions, moral ambiguity, or the fragility of life. Even so, these challenges are part of their cognitive landscape, nuanced and deeply human. The thought patterns of an old soul are not a retreat from life, but an immersion in it. They process experience deliberately, perceive depth in the ordinary, and navigate complexity with patience. Their mind is a sanctuary of insight, curiosity, and understanding, a space where reflection meets perception and contemplation becomes a form of living fully. In this mental architecture, the old soul carries wisdom before it is recognized, patience before it is demanded, and clarity before it is apparent to others. Thought and observation, imagination and memory, intuition and reasoning. These elements converge to create a consciousness that is timeless, perceptive, and quietly profound. An old soul feels deeply, Emotion is not fleeting, it is layered, expansive, and often intertwined with thought. A joy can linger like a melody, a sorrow can echo across hours, days, even years. The heart is attuned, receptive to subtle shifts in tone, expression, and atmosphere. They sense undercurrents that escape the casual observer, interpreting the world through a lens of profound sensitivity. Empathy is instinctive. They absorb the moods of others, reflect on unspoken concerns, and intuit hidden emotions. It is not sympathy in its simplest form, but a layered understanding, a resonance with the inner lives of those around them. Even strangers may evoke recognition or emotional response, connecting across invisible threads of shared human experience. Their own emotions are carefully observed. An old soul rarely reacts impulsively. Feelings are noted, processed, and often pondered in solitude before they are shared. This introspection allows for regulation, depth of understanding, and clarity of perspective. It transforms raw feeling into insight and insight into quiet wisdom. Vulnerability carries weight. To feel so fully is both gift and challenge. They experience hurt intensely, yet often restrain outward expression, balancing honesty with self-preservation. Their emotions are not hidden from themselves, they are carefully held, acknowledged, and integrated into their understanding of the world. Sensitivity amplifies their perception of beauty and sorrow. A subtle sunset, a fleeting gesture of kindness, or a moment of injustice may resonate profoundly. They are attuned to both the fragility and richness of life, experiencing emotion with a depth that often surpasses their peers. This resonance is both a source of insight and, at times, a burden. Relationships are felt as currents of energy. They perceive subtle imbalances, unspoken tension, or fleeting joy. This emotional attunement allows for connection but also demands caution. They must discern when engagement is safe, when openness may overwhelm, or when the emotional weight of others is too great to absorb. Emotional resonance requires boundaries alongside empathy. The intensity of feeling fosters compassion. Old souls often act quietly but profoundly, responding to suffering with care, offering perspective without judgment, and noticing what others overlook. Their presence is comforting not because it is loud, but because it is deliberate, attentive, and emotionally aware. Yet emotional resonance can be isolating. Feeling deeply in a world that often prioritizes superficiality can create distance, a sense of being apart or misunderstood. They may seek solitude to process, recharge, and maintain equilibrium. Their depth is both connection and separation, a paradox of insight and isolation. Ultimately, the emotional world of an old soul is a complex, dynamic landscape. It is layered with empathy, tempered by reflection, and guided by awareness. Emotion is neither fleeting nor trivial. It is a medium through which they navigate existence, connecting with life's beauty, sorrow, and subtlety in ways that are quietly profound. In their resonance lies both wisdom and patience. To feel deeply is to perceive fully, and to perceive fully is to live with awareness, compassion, and a delicate attentiveness that defines the old soul. Old souls navigate relationships differently. Connection is rarely casual or superficial. It is measured, intentional, and attuned to subtleties. They value depth over breadth, preferring a few meaningful connections to a crowd of fleeting acquaintances. Each interaction is observed, processed, and understood within a broader emotional and relational context. Friendship is approached with care. They notice tone, gesture, and intent, understanding unspoken dynamics before they are articulated. A loyal friend may become a confidant, someone with whom they can share insight and vulnerability. Yet trust is not granted lightly. It is cultivated over time, tested through consistency, empathy, and understanding. Romantic relationships are often intense and reflective. An old soul seeks a partner who matches emotional depth, intellectual curiosity, and moral awareness. They value subtlety, shared silences, meaningful dialogue, and quiet acts of care. Conflict, when it arises, is often processed internally first, reflecting on motives, consequences, and relational harmony before expression. Social interactions can be complex. In group settings, the old soul may seem reserved or contemplative, observing dynamics rather than participating actively. Their presence is subtle but perceptive, sensing nuances that others miss. This attentiveness allows them to navigate social landscapes with wisdom, but can also create a sense of being apart, even in company. They are attuned to emotional cues. A smile, hesitation, or fleeting expression carries meaning. Their responses are informed by observation and reflection rather than impulse. This capacity fosters empathy, subtle influence, and understanding, but also demands careful management of their own emotional energy. Boundaries are essential. Old souls are sensitive to overexposure or emotional exhaustion, often retreating to process experience before engaging further. They cultivate relationships where mutual respect, understanding, and patience are present. This selectivity preserves both their insight and emotional integrity. The relational approach of an old soul is a balance of giving and protection. They offer perspective, attentiveness, and deep compassion, yet they also protect themselves from superficiality, inconsistency, or relational turbulence. Their presence encourages reflection in others, modeling patience, empathy, and deliberate engagement. Even subtle interactions carry weight. A gentle word, a considered gesture, or a thoughtful pause can resonate profoundly with those who are attuned. Old souls teach not by overt instruction, but through quiet example, attention, and emotional clarity. Ultimately, their relational sensibilities reflect the synthesis of awareness, empathy, and experience. They navigate the complex currents of human connection with care, offering insight, patience, and depth in a world often defined by haste and distraction. To encounter an old soul is to witness a mind and heart attuned to the invisible layers of connection, a presence that enriches relationships in ways both profound and subtle. Wisdom carries weight. For the old soul, awareness is both gift and burden. They perceive layers of meaning, complexity, and consequence in life that others may overlook. This clarity often brings insight, but it also brings solitude, doubt, and a sense of being out of step with the world. Existential reflection is constant. Questions arise naturally. What is meaningful? What endures? How do I act rightly in a world that moves quickly, often superficially? They carry these questions lightly in some moments, heavily in others, always aware of the tension between ideals and reality. The old soul can feel isolated. Peers may not share the same contemplative rhythm, humor, or depth of concern. Conversations that feel trivial or fleeting may create a subtle sense of distance. Even within relationships, the depth of perception can be a silent barrier, separating them from those who cannot perceive or prioritize the nuances they notice. Emotional resonance amplifies this burden. They absorb not only their own feelings, but also the emotional currents of those around them. This attunement can foster compassion and understanding, but it can also create fatigue, a quiet heaviness carried in awareness of suffering, injustice, or vulnerability. The weight of wisdom manifests in reflection on mortality and impermanence. The passage of time, the fragility of life, and the fleeting nature of experience are ever present in their consciousness. Moments are precious, yet fleeting. Connections are treasured, yet impermanent. They navigate this reality with mindfulness, but the awareness itself can be isolating, even sorrowful. Decision-making carries a moral and ethical depth. They consider consequences, fairness, and the long-term impact of choices more thoroughly than many around them. This careful deliberation is a form of responsibility, a recognition that insight entails accountability for oneself and for others. Yet, wisdom is not merely burden. It is also perspective, resilience, and foresight. The old soul can navigate life with clarity, patience, and a capacity to endure challenges with measured reflection. They see opportunity where others see only chaos, and understanding where others perceive only confusion. The tension between belonging and perception is constant. To feel deeply, to see clearly, to reflect continuously can separate them from peers, yet it also cultivates authenticity, insight, and integrity. The old soul often reconciles this by seeking environments, relationships, and communities where depth is recognized and appreciated, even if such spaces are rare. Ultimately, the weight of wisdom shapes character. It demands awareness, patience, and careful engagement, but it also fosters profound understanding, empathy, and resilience. Being an old soul is not only about insight, it is about carrying it responsibly, navigating the world with both perception and compassion, and honoring the subtle currents that shape life. Their burden is quiet, but so is their strength. In the tension between knowing and belonging, between reflection and engagement, the old soul discovers balance, perspective, and the enduring richness of a life deeply observed.